Well, hi there and welcome back. It's still December, we're still celebrating, and I want to cover a little bit greater definition of what pseudo events are. Realizing that pseudo, if you go and look at the etymology of the word, really is derived from meaning false information, a false event. So what I wanted to do was, Daniel Boorstin in his book, The Image, actually provides four criteria for a pseudo event. The first is that it's not spontaneous. So it is something that is planned, that there has been meaningful thought put behind it. It's something that very deliberately has been thought about, and items have gone into place to execute so that the event comes to fruition. That was Dr. Boorstin's first criteria. The second criteria was that events are designed to be reported on. The whole purpose behind creating the pseudo event is that it will be reported and carried on by other people. So when you think about what we're talking about in the earned media channel, newsworthy event, we want something that other people are going to talk about, or whether it's new media marketing, we want our influencers and our brand ambassadors to be talking about it. Pseudo events are created. See, we've been talking about this for a long time. We just really never put a term to it. Pseudo events are created so that other people will report on them, will cover them, will tell the story of them. And that's the second criteria for when we talk about pseudo events. Pseudo events also happen at times to be ambiguous. And the greatest place where this can be seen is it truth or is it not truth? Is it real or is it not real? There's a certain level of uncertainty around the event. Why is it happening is ambiguous. So when you add the level of ambiguousness, just change the word if you don't like the way the word's coming out, right? Then by all means, go ahead and change it. So the fact of the matter is that the third criteria is that we're ambiguous. The event itself is ambiguous. Now, the last criteria is that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I'm going to tell you a story with regard to Edward Bernays. And I'm going to give you some other videos where Edward Bernays is going to pop up. They're already made. One's a podcast and one's actually a video. But the interesting thing was that Edward Bernays, one of the world's greatest marketers and the father of modern public relations, he actually called the profession the public relations counselor. We were counselors to business executives with regard to how to improve business. So what he did, he was actually called by this hotel in this Midwest town that was having slumping sales, and he needed, the hotel needed some sort of promotion in order to survive. And so this hotel had been around for 100 years. As a matter of fact, its centennial birthday was coming up. So it really was a grand old hotel. Bernays, after looking at the situation, he decided what the answer was a pseudo event. And he said the pseudo event is that we need to celebrate the 100th anniversary of this hotel and its impact to the community. And so he formed committees within the community itself to, one, plan the event, and then also to discuss and identify all the ways that this hotel had contributed to the success of the town. Well, in doing all that, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. The hotel was realized for how important it was to the community, and the centennial birthday event became a huge bash with all sorts of celebrations in the town for this hotel. So those are the four criteria. Now I want to tell you one other story, and this happens to be my favorite pseudo event because I created it back in the 80s when I was working with CNH Rao. I mentioned in another video, we used to send out press releases every time we had a manager be promoted or change positions. Well, in Lexington, which is the home of the University of Kentucky, 1 year for graduation, it was announced that Telly Savalas was going to be the keynote speaker at graduation. Now, I had also watched recently I don't know whether it was first run or a rerun, but one of my favorite old TV shows, WKRP in Cincinnati, where they ended up doing a Tootsie Pop, not a Tootsie Pop drop, that's what I did. They did a turkey drop at Thanksgiving, except they were dropping frozen turkeys on a parking lot, and the carnage between the turkeys, the frozen turkeys hitting people and hitting the cars and creating human damage and automobile damage, it was hilarious if you're into that kind of humor. And I was. At any rate, so I had this idea of dropping something, and the idea that I came up with was, well, let's do a Tootsie Pop drop, because Telly Savalas, his trademark was a Tootsie Roll. Telly Savalas was the actor who for 8 or 9 seasons played the character Kojak, the name of the TV series as well. So he was a lieutenant in the New York Police Department. His signature move was to unwrap his Tootsie Roll Pop, put it in his mouth, take a few drags, and turn and smile. And at the end of the case, he'd go, "Who loves you, baby?" That was Telly Savalas. So, knowing that he was coming to Lexington to speak, I contacted the university and I said, "Do you have any sort of gift that you're going to provide Mr. Savalas when he comes as part of speaking?" And there was probably a monetary inducement, but they hadn't hit on an idea. I said, "Well, I've got one for you. Why don't we do a solid gold Tootsie Pop that'll be from CNH Rao Jewelers, who's based in Lexington, and the University of Kentucky for his coming to speak at graduation." Well, when the university, they loved the idea. So we went to work in prepping and creating a solid gold Tootsie Pop. And then I had the better idea. Now, because the University of Kentucky, Central University, even though there's Louisville, University of Louisville, really nothing. Particularly if you're a Go Cats, right? University of Kentucky Wildcat fan. The Cardinals over there in Louisville, they're really more Indiana than they are Kentucky. Don't tell anybody that's gone to the University of Louisville that. At any rate, I digress. The interesting thing was that many of the towns throughout the state, that's where the kids go to school, because there weren't a lot of big colleges in Kentucky. So where did I have most of my stores? In all these little towns throughout Kentucky. So for graduation, we also decided to do a helicopter drop of Tootsie Pops over the football field. Now, graduation was planned to be outdoors. If it had been indoors, I would have had some serious challenges. But everything went off as planned. We presented Telly Savalas the Tootsie Roll Pop, the solid gold Tootsie Roll Pop. He was thrilled. We did the Tootsie Roll drop for everybody that was in attendance, that they could go out onto the field and get a Tootsie Pop. And on the sticks, we had printed that if they brought the stick back to a store, they would get 10% off their next purchase. So it provided to be a coupon as well. And it had CNH Rao Jewelers all over. We had the Tootsie Pops custom made. They weren't true Tootsie Roll Pops, but they were close enough. We were able to do pre-press releases. We were able to do post-press releases. We were able to do press releases for each and every town that we had stores in. It was a huge success. This actually had the impact of a paid media campaign, but it was all earned media. It was all through word of mouth. It was all by other outlets actually covering us, covering the event. The Lexington News was all over Telly Savalas coming to town and speaking at the University of Kentucky. And then when they found out that there was going to be a gold Tootsie Pop presented to him. That I can't believe nobody else ever thought of that, but it was novel. And so it was the first time that he had ever been presented with a gold Tootsie Pop. So as a matter of fact, I think there's now an award in Hollywood called, no, I'm just kidding. It's not the Gold Tootsie Pop Award. At any rate, that's how you create a pseudo event. That's all I got for you on this video. The 4 criteria for pseudo event and a couple examples. And the reason for that is most of what we do in public relations is we're creating pseudo events. You have to be just as creative as if you were in paid media and advertising and creative promotion. Now you're doing it in order to get media coverage and have other people carry your word for you. This is John Reneski in Strategic Internet Public Relations. This has been all about pseudo events. Bye now.